precautions to take on your next flight. After several weeks of airport closure to curb the spread of coronavirus, the federal government has asked the aviation sector to prepare protocols leading to the resumption of domestic flights from June 21. The National Coordinator, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Sani Aliyu, during a press briefing on Monday in Abuja, said such protocols should include physical distancing through a reduction in passenger capacity and provision of hand sanitizers by airlines. The aviation industry is requested to start developing protocols to allow for domestic flights to resume anytime from June 21 onwards. Airlines must ensure physical distancing by reducing passenger capacity and ensure the provision of sanitizers and personal protective equipment, as well as carrying out temperature check at the point of entry and departure, and ensuring that airports are not congested by either travelers or airport staff, Aliyu said. One of the measures adopted by governments worldwide when the COVID-19 pandemic began was the closure of airports to both domestic and international flights, as air travel was one of the ways through which the pandemic spread faster. For instance, the coronavirus index case in Nigeria was an Italian businessman who arrived in Lagos in late February aboard a Turkish Airlines flight. In March, the President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, shut the country's airspace to local and international flights except to essential flights such as those operating medical and evacuation trips. Following the PTF's directive to the aviation industry, the country's airports may reopen by June 21 to domestic flights, such as is being done in many countries across the world. For instance, India, Poland, Turkey, and Pakistan have resumed domestic flights, while some countries such as South Africa have also planned to reopen their airports to domestic flights in June. However, the fact that domestic flights are resuming does not mean the COVID-19 pandemic has ended. Countries are still recording new cases. The reopening of domestic flights does not also mean a vaccine has been found for the coronavirus, though scientists and pharmaceutical giants across the world have been making efforts. This implies that it is not yet time to throw caution to the wind when flights resume. An associate professor of epidemiology and biostatistics, University of Arizona, Casey Ernst, an associate professor of environmental health sciences in the same university, Paloma Bima, told the World Economic Forum that the primary concern with flying was sitting within 6 feet of an infected person. They said even asymptomatic people could transmit the coronavirus, while the risk of infection directly corresponded to one's dose of exposure, which is determined by the duration of time exposed and the amount of virus-contaminated droplets in the air. Ernst and Bima said the secondary concern was contact with contaminated surfaces. They explained that when an infected person contaminated a chair, armrest, airport restroom handle, seat tray, and other items, the virus could survive for hours, though it could degrade over time. If one touched a contaminated surface and then touched one's mouth or nose, one could put oneself at risk of infection. Therefore, take the following precautions among others when boarding your next flight. 1. Don't fly if it is non-essential. Unless you own a private jet, it is still advisable to avoid public gatherings to prevent coronavirus spread. Aviation expert Joey Harding told Business Insider that if possible, one should avoid non-essential flights until perhaps a coronavirus vaccine was found. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have also encouraged people to cancel non-essential travel, including local flights. However, if you need to fly, take the next precautions. Two, keep your distance. According to a professor of infectious diseases at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, David Friedman, if you need to travel by plane, it is worth noting that the other risk of the disease being spread through an aircraft's airflow system is relatively low, which is because the air is continually filtered through a HEPA, high-efficiency particulate air filter, which can trap viruses. Instead, your risk on the plane, as on a bus or train, is being near someone who is infected. On the plane, that means sitting within 2 seats to the side, front, or back of someone who is ill, research suggests. So, if you are seated that close to someone who is obviously sick, ask whether you can change your seat. And with travel down these days, that may be easier than usual, Friedman told Consumer Reports magazine. In addition, ensure you sit far from crowds while you wait to board the plane. Three, carry antimicrobial wet wipes along. Handrails, armrests, seat backs, tray tables, and so on are surfaces that flight passengers often touch, most times without wiping them with antimicrobial wipes. On your next flight, it is advisable to have antimicrobial wipes handy to clean surfaces before you use them. Note that if you cannot find hand wipes, bring a small washcloth soaked in a bleach solution in a zip bag, even as viruses are not likely to grow on a cloth with a bleach solution. However, remember that excessive bleach is not okay and can be unsafe. You only need 1 tablespoon in 4 cups of water to be effective. Four, sit near the plane window if possible. Though the World Health Organization defines contact with an infected person as being seated within 2 rows of one another on a plane, the New England Journal of Medicine noted that even with this, passengers could still get infected if an infected person was on board. The New England Journal of Medicine explained that this is because people don't just sit during flights, particularly ones lasting longer than a few hours. They visit the bathroom, stretch their legs, and grab items from the overhead bins. In fact, during the 2003 coronavirus outbreak of the severe acute respiratory syndrome, a passenger aboard a flight from Hong Kong to Beijing infected people well outside the WHO's 2-row boundary. However, researchers found that passengers in window seats have the lowest likelihood of coming in contact with an infected person. Amy McKeever wrote in the National Geographic that a study by the Fly LD research team shows that window seat passengers have the least risk of infection because they usually had far fewer close encounters with other passengers than people in other seats. According to the Fly LD research team study, window seat passengers averaged 12 contacts compared to the 58 and 64 respectively for passengers in the middle and aisle seats. Five, wear face masks. Aviation expert in Lagos, Mr. Chike Maxim, recommended wearing face masks to avoid the inhalation of viruses at the airport and on the plane. I guess airlines may provide face masks for every passenger before boarding, but it is better to bring along one's face mask. But before boarding, there will be security checks waiting in the departure lounge and others. One needs to wear their personal face mask before the airline will eventually give one, if they will do so in Nigeria, it said. Saturday Punch findings show that many airlines abroad are offering their passengers packs containing face masks, hand gloves, and sanitizers before boarding flights. Six, get your medical history ready. Aviation experts in Abuja, Mr. Azan Mohammed, recommended that in these times, one should ensure one has all the necessary paperwork to show that one has not faced an illness that might indicate one is a carrier of coronavirus. Although this may not be required in Nigeria, especially for domestic flights, my guess is international airlines and airports might require it. It is advisable to have one's updated medical record ready to get through security checks easily, he said. Seven, bring your food along. Saturday Punch findings show that some airlines abroad that have resumed domestic operations are asking their passengers to bring their own food, as they are not going to be dishing out food except snacks. As domestic flights prepare to resume in Nigeria from June 21, this might be some of the new measures by airlines. However, it is advisable to find out from the airline what foods they allow on board. Eight, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Don't forget that the transmission of viruses has more to do with your hands. If you pick up a virus from an infected surface, you can easily transmit the virus to yourself by touching sensitive areas like your eyes, nose, and mouth. Keep your hands away from your face for a reduced risk of getting infected. Nine, get quality sleep before you fly. Your immune system strength decreases when you are running on fumes. To keep your immune system at the ready to fight off infectious diseases, make sure you get enough quality sleep before your flight, especially the night before. Another point is to hydrate before your flight because just like sleep affects your immune system, so does the diet and level of hydration. Your body needs vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, and water to function properly. Depriving yourself of these things before air travel may increase your likelihood of contracting a virus or bacterial infection. Ten, pack a portable humidifier. Part of the reasons that many people get sick on planes is the extremely low humidity cabin air. At very low levels of humidity, some of our immune defense system cripple, such as mucus production in our eyes, nasal cavities, and airways. A portable humidifier can reinstate some of that mucus production once you are in your hotel room. When you are on board, you can also turn on the air vents and position it towards your feet. This can help circulate germs away from your nose and mouth. In addition, it is recommended to bring one's own pillow and blanket along, especially on long trips when international flights resume. It is clear, however, that airlines offer blankets and pillows for nighttime or long flights.